right, so this is smart strength training, and the most important thing about strength is utilizing your whole body, which is a true sign of everything that's coming into play when you're doing different movements. You know, whether it's for a different body part or one big movement together. So I would say if you have a weight that you can utilize, especially something that's substantial, or a stack of books, which is what I was thinking about because of the hold position. So the first thing we're going to do is grab a hold of whatever you have. It's I originally asked for a backpack, or whether you had weights or a stack of books, and you're going to hold whatever it is that you have just underneath your chin. I want you to separate your feet a little bit so they're just wider than shoulder width, and I'm going to have you sit straight back into a squat position. So just shorter than 90 degrees, make sure your shoulder blades are pulled back, use your abdominals, and push out. Take your time going down, make sure your hips are going back. Stop when you get to a comfortable position, shoulder blades are pulled back, and then push out. So ultimately, we're using our hips now. So hold here and drive out of it. So I'm really getting my legs involved, my whole hip area, but make sure you're sitting back so your knees don't go forward. Okay, we're going to go for about 10 of these. Nice and slow, sitting back. Hold it and drive out of it. Okay, slow going back. Hold and push. And that would show me that you're really understanding the movement and you're handling the weight that you have. And that's what you have to try to figure out. Nice and controlled. Use your abdominals and your back right here and drive out. Okay, so everything stays in one position, a little bit of a lean forward, hold your shoulder blades back, and push out. Last two of those. Sit back, nice and controlled, stop, push out. And last one. Way back, hold your shoulder blades, abs tight, and drive out of it. That's good. So that's a standard squat, and you can change the arm positions and the weight that you're going to be using. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is get down into a push-up position. So a push-up is a straight body position with your core being activated as soon as you push off the ground. So you can do these multiple ways. Stay on your knees, feet up in the air, lean forward a little bit, chest goes between your hands, and push straight up out of it. Stay back a little bit, and then lean forward, start to go down. Chest falls between your hands and come out of it. Making sure that every time you go towards the ground, your abdominals are engaged. So right here, I start using my stomach and then drive out by using my chest and my stomach at the same time. Now, if you're doing a real push-up, true sign of strength is that I can hold myself here, not up here and not down here. It's here, it's a straight drop, and it's a quick push. Okay, make sure everything stays straight the whole time, slow on the way down, quick drive out of it, and hold yourself straight. Slow, push out. Nice and controlled going down, push out. 4 more of those. So we're shooting for about 8 to 10. And that's completely up to you. You want to go for a little bit more repetition, you can do that. Make sure that everything stays the same the whole time. 1 more. And good. Come back down, sit back into your heels, and stretch your hand towards one side. Because this is the starting point of doing an upper body movement, you want to open things up and loosen it up a little bit. So just a quick stretch on each side. You'll get a little bit more range of motion out of the next set, and it'll make it more efficient. Sit back, cross your arm across your body a little bit. That will pull your whole lat area even down into your waist and pull that away from your hips. All right. Okay, so come on up. Next movement you're going to do is a split stance, and you're going to grab a resistance that is not too heavy and not too light, because we're going to do a rotational movement here. So cross body. So now soft knees, your heel is up in the back. So I'm putting some pressure on my back foot on the toes, and I'm crossing my arm across my body, but I'm trying to keep everything as focused forward as possible. Front knee, everything's going to drop straight down. So my body's going to drop straight. I'm not leaning into it. I'm going to drop my hips right over my body, straight, not, just a little bit of a drop, and then you're going to come up and angle this weight straight and across your body. Let it come back down, hold it, drop straight down into that lunge, and push out. Now the push out, similar to a squat, is you want to use your hip, especially on that side where the leg is forward. So when I drop down, I'm coming up with my hip on my right side, and I'm extending that arm. So I'm kind of using a little momentum to do that, but it's a strength movement as well for my arm and my shoulder. Straight, come up straight, my body should be forward. Let it drop down. I am twisted a little bit now, but I want to stay straight when I drop. Use your abdominals. I always say that because now you're turning your body and potentially putting some pressure on your back. Hold it and come out. It just makes for a stronger movement. Just one more of these. Nice and controlled, straight drop down and come up. It's good. Switch it over to the other side. Other leg back, heel up in the back. Switch the weight over. Cross. A straight drop down on that back leg. And then come out of it and bring that arm up, angling as if you're going right through a diagonal across your body. Nice and slow on the drop. Come up and extend that arm. Bring it back. And again, you want to use the right weight so that when you come out of this, I'm able to come up straight with my arm without contorting my body to get to that point. I still want to use my hip on this side. Straight drop. My hip is coming up now, and that's getting me out of it and the ability to extend that arm up straight. 3 more. Straight drop. Come up, arm goes out. Hold it. Little bit of a break in between because these are all individual repetitions. So it's here, back down, stop. New repetition. Straight drop. Come out, come back down. Let's do one more. Cross, straight drop, hold it, make sure you have control, come out of it, and step forward. Okay. All right, so now you're going to go down into a plank position, which means your arms are 90 degrees, similar to a push-up, but you're down further to the ground. My body is staying straight, and I'm shifting forward. Here, and back down. Hold every time I'm in this position. The whole time, I'm using my core. So again, I'm not down here, and I'm not up here. I'm straight, and then I'm rocking forward and rocking back. Rock forward, rock back. Just 3 more. You can also take a break if you want and drop to the floor. Knees go down or stay up and just endure the tension. 1 more. And back down. Drop to your knees. Good. So it's all time under tension, endurance for a period of time. That is strength. See how long you can do it. It's about the resistance that you use, but it's also about keeping your body in a position for a period of time. That's what's showing me that someone's strong enough to do a certain movement. All right, so now we're down on all 4s. Your body is straight, and you're going to extend 1 arm and 1 leg. Hold it out there, and then when you come in, it's elbow to knee. So you're curling your back around a little bit, and then extending straight. Come inside, and extend straight. Come in, and extend. So you're using your hip and your shoulder. Earlier in the workout, this is kind of utilized as a little bit of a flexibility and mobility movement. So when you get back to that squat we did from the beginning, your body's going to feel a little looser and you get some better range of motion out of it. But this is still a quality movement right here for your core crunch and then extend for your hip and your shoulder. One more. Inside and hold, extend and push. Okay, come back down. Switch it to the other side. Just to your hip height. Don't go any higher. You shouldn't be rotating down. Straight out in front, inside, and push straight. Come in nice and controlled. Pause and push. Control factor. Come in, hold it, balance, extend. And again, now I know that you're managing the movement. Hold it and push, because I would see whether you're under control. That's another sign of strength. You're handling the movement and push. Doesn't mean you're not going to struggle with it. Hold it and push. Two more, but you want to make sure that you're doing it correctly. Hold it and push. Last one. Come in and extend. Good. I called this smart strength training because every letter is going to represent something different. Technique is the last letter, most important thing. So if you're doing everything correctly, the technique is really going to give you the ultimate in an efficient movement. So by the time you're done your workout, you're going to know that you utilized everything. This movement now, back to the squat, is for your legs, but your upper body is being utilized from a postural standpoint. So remember, if you have a stack of books, hands are underneath a couple books, and they're staying straight up in the air. If you have a dumbbell like this, you're just keeping your hands underneath of it, and it's just extra resistance. Now, I'll turn to the side a little bit and show you what I'm talking about. So your feet are a little bit wider than your shoulder width, and you're sitting back. So your hips are back, you're down, shoulder blades are pulled back, and you're driving out by tensing your stomach, but get your hips back underneath you. So drop down and hold, get your hips back underneath you. So that's the power part of it. Sit back, hold it, and push out. I always say now, if I have 30 more pounds of weight that I'm holding, my hips are going to be required to come out stronger. So sit back, but my shoulder blades still have to stay back. Not forward, but pulled back here and drive out. And more importantly, I don't want to get down too far because I want my abs engaged. I want my abdominals to hold here and help me push out. That's protecting my lower back. So drop back, because there is going to be a little bit of an arch. When you get to the bottom, 3 more, hold it, control it, push out. That's how I know that you're managing the movement. Sit back, hold it, push out. 1 more. Drop back, hold, and come out. Good. Abs are engaged, shoulder blades are retracted. More pressure goes to the big muscles of your lower body. Really important. All right, back to that push-up position. So remember, a push-up is straight body, however you do it. If I'm on my knees, my feet are up, my body is still pretty straight, and I'm leaning forward, chest between your hands, and drive out of it. If I'm straight, my body stays really straight, and everything goes down together, and everything comes up together. Now, if you cheat every once in a while, take it down for a second, relax, set it back up again. Because as soon as your knees leave the ground, you're working. Slow, control it, quick push. Slow, control it, quick drive out of it. Slow, and push. Let's try 4 more of those. Slow. Now, you want to add more? Stay here for a couple seconds. Stomach's going to start to tense. Shake a little bit. Slow. Push out. 2 more. Control it. Push. Slow. Push out. And remember, distance down is up to you. If you start going here, push out. If you want a little bit more range of motion, let your elbows get behind you, that's going to be more force to come out of it. All right. All right, let's get into a split stance, and you're going to do that cross body movement. So now whatever weight you use, that leg is back. Same hand that's holding the weight is the leg that's back. So your heel is up, toes are digging into the ground. I'm crossed over a little bit, but my knees are staying forward. Don't go with it. Your body will turn, but your knees are staying straight. Straight drop down, short, hold it, come out of it, extend that weight without going with it. Stay forward, let that arm come back by itself. Cross and stop. Balance yourself, slow drop right here, quick extension on your legs, and throw that weight back. Bring it back and stop, straight drop, and come up. Cross it over, straight drop down, and come up. Cross it, straight drop. So remember everything that I've said so far. It's all coming from the power you generate in your legs. Right here, push out. That uses a little momentum, and then get your arm to throw back. Slow drop, last one, and come up. That's good. And now we're going to switch it over. Get a good lunge. Set yourself up. Cross it. Straight drop. Extend with your legs. Arm comes up at the same time. Like I said, there is a little momentum to drive that arm up with your legs, but it's still a strength movement for your shoulder too. Slow drop, knees forward, up, and arm comes out. Balance, drop, and we got 4 more. Slow, quick push. Stop, drop down into it. Cross it, stop for a second, balance, slow drop, quick extension. Cross it, stop for a second, drop, last one, and come up. Good. Come up forward, drop that weight down, and let's go back to the floor into that plank position. So remember, the plank is forearm based, but as soon as you leave the ground, your core is pulling you up. Ultimately, when you don't have the strength there, gravity is going to drop you towards the floor. Draw up like you're pulling your abdominals into your lower back. Shift and back. Shift, back and hold. All work. Now, if you get tired, drop down for a second or two, set it up again. Shift and back. Shift, hold, 3 more. Remember, you can stay here for 10 seconds if you want. It's all work. Hold it, shift, and back. However much you can handle. 1 more, and back. That's how you personalize a movement. If I'm working with somebody one-on-one, maybe I keep them going because I'm seeing what their endurance is like. Somebody kind of peters out pretty quick, then it's a matter of building up your strength. Now you want to do things to help yourself, and then little by little, workout after workout, you make things a little bit harder, and you should find yourself managing that core a little bit better. And then you get back to these other movements like the squat and the lunge and all those other things, and your core is going to start helping you more. Again, building your strength for bigger movements. So it all comes together in the end. All of these movements that you're doing, it's designed so that every movement is going to start getting better and better with some more resistance. Okay, so back to this first movement now. So that's squat. Remember, you're holding the weight here. You're sitting your hips back, stopping at a pretty good distance, and come out. You want to feel a good stretch and some good work in your hips, which means your rear end back, and come out. You want to feel yourself holding at the bottom point with your rear end. You want to feel like right here, you want to be able to push out from your hips. Nice and slow, but remember your shoulders are being held back and come up. The weight does not want to pull you forward and your abs are engaged when you're at the bottom. Hold here, drive out. Last 5 of those. Slow drop, nice and controlled. Remember, as you do multiple sets of these, and remember this is the 3rd one, you can do 5 sets, you can do, I would say minimum 3, based on the time you have and what you want to work on. At least 3 sets, but you can also do more if you want to try to endure more of that for a longer period of time. 2, hold it, drive out of it. Feet flat on the floor. So when your hips go back, you want to feel like you're on your heels, but you're not losing your balance. Hold it and come out. Good. So that's a standard squat that you can change a lot of different ways to make them more complicated, harder, more things going on in the rest of your body. But that's a good starting one that you can change the weight with pretty easily. Okay, so let's get back to one more set of the push-ups, which again is a really good upper body strengthening movement because it really utilizes everything, okay? So remember, as soon as I set up in this position and I come off the ground, my legs are already being used. So now you just did a leg movement. Now my legs are contracting right here and I'm holding my abdominals tight. Drop slow, quick push. You want to go really slow, take a couple seconds on the way down, pause at the bottom, and drive out of it. Time under tension is a strength builder. Slow going down, quick push. You're making your muscles work harder, doing things slower and more controlled. Okay, nice and controlled. And push. Slow going down, push out. Let's try 3 of those. Slow, push out. So we're still staying in the 8 to 10 range. Slow, push. But after multiple sets, slow and push. You're going to find your repetitions will most likely change. You might be able to do less as you do multiple sets. But I always say the first repetition should be as good as the last one, or vice versa. The last one should be as good as the first one. Don't sacrifice. If you start to feel like you're losing your control, it's best to not push it because it might go to your lower back. All right, so let's go to another upper body movement. So there's a couple different options with this. The first one would be a band. Okay, so bands create pretty easy tension. All I have to do is attach it to something because it pulls back on me and I want to pull the opposite direction. So we're going to do a row, which for this specific object is going to be a little bit of a squat position, and it's immediately pulling me here, but I'm still controlling my upper body. So let's say here's my starting position and my elbow is drawing this back. Okay, so this is going to pull me forward, but I still want to be able to draw it straight back. So my shoulder blade is pulling that weight. So this is the first apparatus that's going to do that. Now I can walk back and feel that kind of slingshot effect, but I'm sitting into it and I'm feeling like it's pulling me, but I'm controlling it now. So you can control how close or how far you are from that band. So once you're in this position, this is the set. You're staying here. So again, legs are being utilized. So that's good work from an isometric standpoint. They're not doing squat movement, but the muscles are still contracting a little bit. So draw it in and let it come back, but don't come out of that position. Stay back, feet glued to the ground. Draw your shoulder blade back and let it come forward. Abs are engaged. Pull, even more so on a one-sided movement. My body is being twisted a little bit, so my abs have to be there to control that straight body position. pull. Less stress on your lower back if your abs are working. Draw it in. Good. 2 more of those. And again, repetitions are based on how the tension feels. This tension is not impossible, so I'm able to get higher repetitions on here. Draw it in and let it come back. Come forward. Give yourself a little bit of a breather, because now when I go to the other side, the rest of my body is still working. So my legs are still going to be utilized. My core is still working. And I'm in this position again. So my posture is going to be pulled back a little bit. So elbow in. It's all governed by the first movement of your shoulder blade. Draw it back. A lot of times this movement is compared to starting a lawnmower. But you want to stay in a controlled place with the rest of your body and then just draw your shoulder blade back. Okay, that's pulling your upper back, your lat muscle, back behind you. Okay, so your chest is up a little bit. I'm staying here and I'm drawing through at the same time. Core is tight. Draw it in. 4. Pull. And I'm not leaning back with my body. My knees are staying soft. I'm staying flat to the ground. 2 more. Shoulder blade in. Let it come forward. Shoulder blade in. Good. Now, let me quickly give you another idea if you have dumbbells. Same thing. I'm leaning forward and I'm pulling up. So think about that same thing. This is more gravity-based now. It's pulling me down, but I'm staying here in this position, and then I'm driving my shoulder blade up. That's another option. Same muscle group being utilized. Just a quick show of something else that you can do at that point. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is a movement specifically for 2 parts of your shoulder. Okay, so your shoulder really separates into a bunch of different areas. But the 2 things that we're going to do now is a side raise for the lateral part of your shoulder. So my hands are turned out with lighter dumbbells. My knees are staying soft. My upper body's upright. Now I'm going to push these to the outside, straight arm. Bring them back down and turn them forward. Now I'm coming up into a V shape. So I am separating a little bit to the outside part of my legs. And I'm staying here when I come up, and I'm coming back down. Now turn them here, and I'm going to keep alternating. 1 here, straight back down. Front, shoulder blades are pulled back. So I'm not going higher than my shoulders. I'm staying upright, pinching my shoulder blades back. Now the tricky part with these is whenever weight goes away from your body, especially in a straight arm position, the tension is going to go back to my body. So now when I come up here, how I determine whether the weight is good for somebody or not, am I feeling this in my lower back? Because ultimately when I push these up, I could arch. I don't want to. I want to stay straight. So I know that I'm using my shoulders to lift the weight. Okay? Isolating movement, lower weight, more repetitions. Good body position. Straight up. Every time those weights go away from your body, tense your stomach. Can't say that enough. You're protecting your lower back to withstand a 45 to an hour workout. It's important because if you do things wrong, your back can be really burning or sore within 15 minutes. 2 more on each of these. Lift, back down. Hold for a second. Keep those knees bent a little bit. Straight up and back down. Last one. Push them open and back down. Now, is your lower back going to feel some of this stuff as you go through a workout? Of course it will. It's a muscle. But you want to make sure that you address weaknesses, tightness, soreness. If you feel any of that stuff at the end of a workout, yeah, okay, you pushed it a little bit, but you also might have a weakness there. Your back might not be strong enough to do some of this stuff, or you just have to work on some core stuff to get a little bit stronger. Okay, so speaking of that, let's go back to 1 more set of that plank position. So this is going to be your shift and back. So on your forearms, So remember now, after going that last movement, which you used your core, you're going right back now and you're engaging it specifically. Okay, so here, shift and back down. Hold it, shift, back to a straight position. Lean forward, back to holding it here and back here. So picture your shoulder blades kind of pinching back a little bit. 3 and center. 2 more of those. Hold here. Hold. Shift and back down. Shift and back down. That's good. Drop to your knees. And now let's do the same thing you did at the beginning. Sit back. So now you're partway through, so you want to make sure you're still stretching a little bit. So let your arm shift towards one side of your body. It kind of pulls your shoulder blade up a little bit away from your waist. Gives you a little bit of a stretch for those muscles that you've used on the push-ups and the rows. So sit back, let that arm cross the other side of your body, and this should be pulling mostly through here, but really it could be further down towards your waist. And that is really dependent upon how tight you are and how specific you've been getting tension into these muscles. Okay, the better concept you have of what muscle is supposed to be doing what when you're doing these movements, the more efficient your workout is. The more tired your whole body's going to be by the time you're finished this whole thing. Okay, so let's get back to this row. So remember, 2 options. First one is the band. The other one, if you have weights, is a bent over position. But my back is still straight. So I'm not hunching. I'm pulling up from my shoulders and I'm leaning forward and I'm staying here now. So now the dumbbell is here and then it's here. 90-degree pull from here. Retract here. Pull from your shoulder blade without coming out of that position and hang down. Now I'm staying in that position the whole time. That's what makes the rest of your body work. Okay, so now here, I'm trying to find the right tension back. So I'm walking back, I'm leaning forward, and then I'm drawing it in. Okay? Finding the right tension so it doesn't pull me forward, I'm staying down. Feet stay glued to the ground, and shoulder blade retracts. Shoulder blade back, body stays forward. Abs are engaged every time you pull that back. Here and forward. Other hand can be on your knee, that's supporting, so it takes some of the stress off your back. You can do the same thing when you're doing that bent over movement with the dumbbell. Your hand can be resting on your knee to give your body a little bit of a breather. Now you want to make it a little harder, let that hand come up and put all that tension and all that movement directly on your back and your core. 2, forward and stop. Get that full stretch. Let it pull you and stop. Okay. Come out of that. And now let's go back into that position again. Sit down, and now you're doing your other side. Draw it in and come back. Shoulder blade and forward. Hips are back. Now, this kind of reminds you of that squat we did at the beginning. So this is the reason why you do movements like that. Now, this allows a little bit more freedom. If I have a good squat position that I really understand, this helps me because I'm following that same body position. My hips are back, my knees are not going forward, and I'm using my glutes now for support. For golfers out there now, the hips are so important when you're swinging. You want to create that base so your muscles are used to driving into the ground and staying put. So when you go and swing that club and you turn your body, 2 more of these. Pull. You're making contact with the ground, and that's good. You're not losing it. So when you swing, you're making contact with the ground. Those legs are driving down, and that's going to create a more powerful, balanced swing, and you're going to hit the ball further. All this stuff relates to a lot of different things. It's not just golf, it's other movements too. Tennis, same thing. If I switch myself here, I'm using my legs. Golf, I'm using my legs to create that power and generate it. Running, jogging, I'm coming off of each leg. I'm using my hips to generate. So it all relates in the end to activities. What you do in the gym should directly relate to what you're trying to train for outside of the gym. We're only here an hour a day, so it's not magic, but it certainly should be helping you. All right, so knees bend a little bit, straighten up, push them up to the outside. Bring them back down, come underneath. Lift and hold. And remember on that front raise specifically and the side, lift and hold. My shoulder blades are pinned back. My legs are bent a little bit. My abs are engaged. Because that weight, depending on what it is going to put pressure on your lower back. With doing both of these movements in one set, I'm in this position for almost 2 minutes, most likely. So that's some endurance for your lower back. Push them up, bring them back down. It's a simple, isolated movement, but you want to get the most out of it by using a hold and a control factor at each position. Good, last two on both. And body position, simple but yet important. Under, and last one. Here, underneath. And that's good. Relax. Okay, so let's create a little bit of distance here across the room. So if you have a little bit of space, I have enough for probably about 5 steps. I'm going to stay up against the wall and sit into that squat position again. I'm going to step, controlled, just outside my shoulder width, but I'm still staying low. Hold it, don't come out of it. Stay there. Controlled. Now again, I'm sitting into that seat position. 2, so my glutes, and from an endurance perspective, and that's good, stand all the way up. My glutes should start to feel, if I do enough of these. Now the other option are these bands. Slide them through, put the band here on your leg, stay down, and now every time I separate my knees, I'm pulling resistance. That adds a little bit extra tension. You're really going to start to feel some burning on the outside parts of your legs and your glutes. So now right from there, I'm going to go right into a jump squat. Now, jump doesn't mean go through the roof. Nice and controlled seated position, short. Leave the ground a little bit, land, and stand up. Doesn't need to be that much. I don't even have to leave the ground. I can act like I'm getting ready to explode out of it. Stand and sit back down. Can be as simple as that. Or if you leave the ground, you're really creating a good power movement and allowing your legs, making your legs do more of an explosive movement. So more work here. Push out. So this is a quick version of what your hips have to be able to do when you're doing other activities. Push, land, and stand. That's an individual repetition. Sit back, short, push, land, stand straight. Okay, 5 more. Sit back, jump, land, stand up. And again, I relate it back to the squat. You're doing squats so that when you do a movement like this, you're managing it. Your hips are strong enough to be able to handle creating this power, which everybody has to at some point with their activity that they're doing. There is a level of power generation that, like it or not, that's good. Relax. Like it or not, generating power is part of a lot of activities. Golf swing, getting off of each foot when you jog, power generation. Anything you do from a push-off standpoint, you're generating power. Okay, So we are going to go to single leg, which is a little bit for balance, but it's also trying to get a little bit of hamstring interaction. So if I wanted to add some more tension to my hamstring, I'm going to hold a dumbbell. Okay? Leg I'm standing on is the hand that I'm going to use the weight in. I'm going to do this with nothing, so you see what I'm talking about balance-wise. So I'm just standing up on one leg. That's a little bit of work in itself. When I go forward, I'm going to go straight down. My body should stay pretty straight. And then I'm requiring my hip to get me back up to an upright position. Okay? So nice and slow. Lean forward, but I'm leaning my hip back on this side. Keeping my back flat, and I'm coming up. My hip is pulling my body back to an upright position. So I'm leaning forward. It's all coming from here. A little bit of a bend in your knee, but lean flat over. Hold it and get that hip to come back up. Balance the top. Now, if that's a lot of work, put your foot back down for a second and then bring your foot up again. Lean, balance. I'm going to lose a little bit sometimes going down. Steady yourself, balance the top. Be ready for another repetition. Put your foot back down. 2 more. Lean, flat back position. Now, this is where the weight comes in. That's going to challenge more of that. Come back up. I'll show you what I mean by that. Do it on the opposite hand. Okay, the leg that's in the air is the hand that's going to hold the weight. I said the opposite from the beginning. So when I go down now, it's a 10-pound weight. When I go down, this is going to pull on my leg a little bit more. It's also going to pull me down here, and I want to hold it straight. And then I want to still generate more force coming out of it with my hip. So go to the other side, and I'll show you what I mean. Now I'm standing on my right leg. Left hand holds the weight. When I go down, my hip is going back. My body is still staying as straight as possible. And then I'm coming right to an upright position. If this weight is too heavy for me, it's going to start to pull me. And I'm going to start coming down towards the floor this way. It's always drawing your shoulders back and then down and then coming up. But ultimately, if you do it right, you should feel this more coming from the hip that you're standing on. So lean that hip way back and then get that hip to come underneath you. So it's the bend in your knee a little bit. It's the lean back, which is what pulls on your hamstrings. And then your hamstrings and your glutes are what tilts you back up to a standing position. Down, controlled, come back up. Now, 2 more of those, and I'm going to show you another way to make it harder if you want, is that leg that goes back, start to extend it back more, and then go over. Balance is compromised, more pull on the back of your leg, or you just keep this leg just hanging down, and then you just use more of that leg you're standing on. Shoulder blades pulled back, and stand out of it. Okay, that's good. So that's a simple way to get a little bit of that hamstring. It's not quite the hamstring curl, but you're still, from a functional standpoint, it's utilizing your hamstrings the way they should be. Okay, so we're going to get down onto the floor, and we're going to do a abdominal movement, specifically a crunch. Okay, so a standard crunch is getting your shoulder blades a little bit off the floor. However you do that, it can be more complicated or less complicated. So the simple version is my hands are flat, my knees are bent, and I'm just coming up and sliding my hands along the floor. Head can look up and back down. My lower back is trying to go down towards the floor. I'm engaging my core, and I'm coming back down. Now that's the simple version. Want to make it a little harder? Take a hand behind your head and do the same thing. Lift and back down. You want to make it a little harder? Take both hands behind your head, but don't lock your fingers. Overlap your hands and do that same lift. Up, don't pull on your head. Still make it come from your stomach. Pull yourself off the floor and go back down. Lift and go back down. You want to make it a little harder? Cross your arms in front of you. Elbows come up. Fingertips are on your shoulders. I'm still lifting from my stomach, but now I'm making my stomach the main focus because my arms are out here now. They're out in the open. They're not doing anything. My stomach is still pulling me, and then I'm going back down. Make it a little bit harder. Take one leg in the air and lift. Now my back is a little bit compromised, and I have to pull it down. Do a few, lift the other leg. Okay, these are, again, time under tension. Your abdominals, with everything that you do, your abdominals are part of your core. Not the only thing. Your core is your hips. Time under tension. So everything we've done today has been focused on making sure that your core is being utilized, but now you're requiring your core and your stomach to do more work specifically at the end of the workout. That's an endurance part of it. And that's what you want to try to build up in any strength exercises and any strength routine that you're doing. It's about the individual movements that you're doing, but it's about getting everything to agree in a slow way, and then a build up to bigger and bigger things so that you can do either more weight, more repetitions, more time. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Your goals are really going to be based on ultimately what you want out of it, and then you make the adjustments from there as to what your workout is going to look like. But that's a pretty good basic look at a full body routine. All right. Hope you guys got something out of it, and hopefully we'll be